Hello, everyone, and welcome to Traffic Corner Tuesday. My name is Paul Kerr, client relationship manager here at SPAC Enterprise, and I'm your host for today's webinar. Today, we are discussing how to maximize your traffic engineering intern's time. Now, before we dive in, we want you to join the conversation. Please use the chat box on your screen to ask questions or share your experience throughout the presentation. Due to time, we will be circling back at the end. You can always email Mike or myself if you think of a question later as well. The Traffic Corner Tuesday webinar series is brought to you by Mike on Traffic, which is part of the SPAC Enterprise family of companies. SPAC Enterprise consists of a group of traffic engineering companies focused on helping you create healthy transportation systems and fix broken ones. Please visit our websites, countingcars.com or spacconsulting.com to schedule your consult call and discuss your needs. From transportation equipment to traffic counting to engineering studies, we want to help you succeed. Today's presenters are Mike Spack and Brian Fiesick. Mike is the creative force and principal writer of the industry-leading blog Mike on Traffic, and Brian is the vice president of SPAC Enterprise and regularly contributes to the Mike on Traffic as well as co-hosts these webinars with Mike. Mike and Brian are licensed professional engineers and certified professional traffic operations engineers. They both have been interns and both have had a good fortune of hiring interns over their careers. It's great to help a budding engineer at the beginning of their career, and you can get great value from an intern. But interns can come with their own issues and be a drain on your time if not properly managed. So with that, I'll turn things over to Mike and Brian to talk about the lessons they've learned and how to approach hiring as well as managing interns. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thanks, Paul. Hi, everyone. Happy New Year.
Thank you. All right, we're going to turn off the video now.
That's enough of us.
Yeah, we're going to dive right into our items. Starting, obviously, with interns. What is an intern?
Yeah, I mean, start off, it's going to be someone in an engineering or planning program at a university. They're going to come work for you part-time. It may be 40 hours a week, but part-time is certainly less than 6 months. We love if we can get an intern for 2 years, 2 summers in a row. And when we can, if we can get them more, this is, I think, jargony, but a co-op, which could last up to 6 months, that helps us build a better relationship, and they get more and we get more out of that relationship.
Yep.
But typically, internships are kind of 3 months over the summer.
So limited time, potentially limited hours, 20 to 40 hours. We're talking about somebody who's not that full-time employee. All right, so with that basis, if I can get the slide to go, there we go. One of the first questions is obviously, do you hire them or not? And as we look at it, there's really 2 reasons that we've come up with to hire an intern, 2 really basic ones. And first one is just altruistic. Are you helping somebody out? You're giving them a leg up on their career. You're getting them in the door, so to speak, so they can begin to know what they're getting into for their career.
Yeah, and as Paul mentioned, Brian and I both had internships, and I had a couple of great ones, City of St. Paul and Image Sensing Systems, and they both really set my career trajectory, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity.
Yeah, I had some good ones too. I also learned a lot of what I did not want to do. So in that standpoint, it was very helpful as well.
And then the other major reason is a little less altruistic, but can they help time and money inside your organization? Kind of can be inexpensive labor and can take some of the stuff off your plate.
So those are kind of the 2 basic reasons. Usually you have that mix of both, and that's why you're wanting to do this. But some things then to think about, because we're not going to tell you whether you should or should not hire. We're just trying to get you to think about it. Obviously, the first one is, do you have the funding? You have to pay an intern most of the time in our profession. And so do you have the funding for it? Are you going to be able to afford their salary, whatever that might be?
And here in Minnesota, the going rate is somewhere between $15 and $20 an hour for interns.
closer to the 20,
20.
I think, at this point, but
Yep.
generally in that range.
And then how do you go about finding these interns? And we've found some universities in our region have much better organizations for helping us get interns than others. So we recommend going a little bit outside of just what, if you're in a university town, look at the bordering states and talk to their engineering departments.
And that's the wide net you can cast. You can also look inside your own organization. There may be some of your employees may have kids that are reaching that age, and that is a easy way to find someone, is if they're available and are interested. And that hits again hits a couple of those items there. You could be helping someone figure out what they want to do, and if they're responsible, if an employee is responsible for that person, I generally think you're going to get good work out of them.
Yes. And then onboarding, and we're going to get into how we like to do onboarding here at SPAC Enterprise, but this is really a neglected area in every place we've worked.
Absolutely.
Of just how do you get a new person up to speed effectively? I'm not going to say quickly, but effectively.
Similar to that as your mentoring, just are you teaching them about the business? Are you teaching them about that potential career? And this doesn't have to be high level stuff. There's a lot of grunt work that needs to be done, but do they understand why they're doing the grunt work?
And it goes beyond just the work itself. It goes how to grow into being a professional. So their kids coming from, maybe they had a job working at a McDonald's, but how does one behave inside an office environment?
And that's something that can take them beyond this, even if they don't stay in transportation. And then another one we'll talk a little bit about later, but that exit transition, after it's done, do you have a plan for that? So just some things here to think about as you're trying to make the decision of, do I hire an intern or not? And our closing thought on this one is really just, if you decide to hire an intern, make sure that you're committed to it. Don't just haphazardly decide, oh, we're going to do it. You bring somebody in and then you're floundering. You really have to commit and make it worth the while for both you and the intern.
Yes.
Okay, so now we've gone past the decision. You've decided to hire. We've decided to hire. And so now what? What do you do with that?
Well, like all good projects, kind of start with the end in mind. What are you trying to accomplish? What do you want? What is your goal? So think about what success would look like at the end of the internship, and then work your way backwards from how you get from day zero all the way to that end of the rainbow great picture.
And it doesn't have to be this huge, massive goal. I mean, it can just simply be, we want to finish these counts for the summer.
Yes.
That's a good goal. And then now you can work back. So how do we accomplish that? So moving right in, now you've established the goal. You need that training. So how are you going to get this person up to speed for what they're doing?
Yep. And this is training is step one of our top 10 ways. So the training is who are they responsible to?
Goal would be step one.
Yeah.
Training
Okay.
would be
Step two. Fair enough. But figuring out training, who's gonna teach them what they need to know.
How are they going to teach them? And this can be, this is just a sample for our own equipment. We have videos on stuff to do. So it can be videos, it can be guides, it can be in person, but you need to think through that. How are you going to teach them the skills that they need to do what you want?
And then when, of course, they're coming into you pretty green and inexperienced. That's why they're interns. So really think that through. And if you can build kind of a toolbox of resources and things you want them to go through, then if they have slack time, they can kind of self-educate as well, as instead of knocking on your door every 2 hours asking what's next.
Excuse me. All right, so number 3, so you figured out your goal, you've got your training, now you really need to plan that first day. So they're coming in, they're going to be here at 8 a.m., say, what are they going to do?
Yeah, and I read a powerful book called The Power of Moments by Dan and Chip Heath. I highly recommend it. But it really talks about peak moments, and they went through part of the book is what's the normal first day, first week on the job look like. And usually it's pretty crummy. You show up and you're passed over to human resources. You fill out a lot of paperwork. You don't know what's going on. And then if you quit at the end of some period, then we all throw you a party and you go out to lunch and all of that. Well, maybe we should flip that a little bit and make day one a little bit more of a party and a we're glad you're here type experience.
So part of that it includes meeting the team, obviously. So you want to bring them in, and that's ideally, I like that right away. You come in, they're not going to remember everybody's name, particularly for bigger departments, but it's good. You bring them in, you can bring them around, and they get that first initial if you're joining the team. And this is the team.
And the team should know they are coming, and they should be enthusiastic about that person joining the team.
And this can actually fit into the previous one with the training too. Someone can say, oh yeah, I'm so-and-so, and I'm going to be helping you out when we get out in the field or so. So they start relating who these people are and how they're going to help.
Yes.
There is the initial paperwork, unfortunately, that does need to be done. So you can't forget that. This is what Mike was talking about, that welcome lunch, that celebration of, hey, we're glad you're here.
Yes. And then a quick run through of, yes, through the interviewing process, hopefully you've been clear on the type of work it is they will be doing, but it's amazing. We've found repetition to be so important with communication in our business and everything we do. So don't assume that just because you went through it in the interview that they know now what they're going to be doing. So go through it again.
Absolutely. And then obviously start working. And what do you want them to do on that first day, if anything? Maybe the first day is just going through everything. But it's important to really think through that first day and potentially even that first week, like Mike was saying. And how are you going to get them to the point where they're semi-independent for the task you've set up with them?
Yeah. And also have a little contingency planning. You could end up going through your agenda really fast for the first day, or it could drag out and you may need to go into day two. So kind of have a little bit of things they could work on in the afternoon in case you go too fast, but also plan for day two not going exactly as planned if day one spills into day two.
Yeah.
So
make sure you're available in the morning of day two. Don't book yourself up with meetings.
Yes,
just in case. All right, so we talked a little bit about day one or that first week, and this is something we would like. This is more the long term, over the course of the summer or the 6 months or however long you have them. Do you have what a typical week looks like? What's their task schedule?
so if they're going to be doing traffic counts, as we do around here, well, Monday's a big day for us for setting out cameras and tube counters. Tuesday, we do a little bit of more setups. Wednesday is usually quiet as the gear is chugging along, and then go back and pick those things up Thursday and Friday. So Wednesday, you should have some kind of other in the office engineering work for them if that's what the rhythm's going to be, or you could have many other tasks, but kind of setting up a rhythm to their week and a rhythm per month. We work hard here in SPAC Enterprise to do that. So it just seems everybody works smoother if there's a rhythm to the week and to the month.
And it can change. Don't think this is chiseled in stone, but by having at least that foundation, now they know what the expectations are. You're setting those expectations again, and then as things adjust the schedule if you need to, or know that you're going outside of it. So setting that foundation. All right, so our next one is something we've recently started using.
Yeah, this is from Dan Sullivan at the Strategic Coach Program. He came up with kind of a success map whenever he hires people, and he has 4 quadrants to it. And we've started using this and we love it. So performance, just what are the tasks they're going to be doing, and then results. What's going to be what's coming out of those tasks? What are they accountable for delivering as part of the job? Then the third is above and beyond. How can they be a hero of if they see something going wrong, if they see potholes out that they're driving by, what are different ways they can be a hero above and beyond what the basics they were hired to do? And the last quadrant, which I love, is a person could do their job great, but if the boss has a pet peeve and this person really gets under their skin, it's not going to be a good relationship. So come up with what are those things that drives the boss nuts. Maybe you're the kind of person who wants them in there at 8 a.m. every morning, or maybe you don't care and they can roll in at 10, or they need to dress a certain way, or you don't care, or don't chew gum around me, whatever the thing is.
Really little pet peeves like that. It should be related to work, obviously. Yeah. But it does help that relationship along if they know things that will bug you and they can avoid that. And this is also, we mentioned it earlier, this is also part of that being in an office. How do I work with people around me? Well, this helps them out to know, hey, here's some considerate things you can think about for your boss, which is going to help out.
Yeah, maybe you don't bring the tuna fish sandwich or peel hard-boiled eggs at your cubicle.
All right, so from there, just is the equipment ready to use? So this can be part of that day one as well, depending on what they're doing. But just as you're going through, do they have the office supplies? So do they have a pen and paper? Some simple like that. Do they have their laptop? Is that ready for them to use? And, to be honest, we've fallen down on that a couple times where we've thought through most of their day, we've got everything ready, and then we show up on the first day and we're like, oh crap, we forgot to get X ready. Yeah. You adjust on the fly, but this should be part of what you're thinking of is what do they need so that they can go on day one if we get to that point. So office supplies was the one. Field equipment, make sure that's all ready to go if they are going to be out there, whatever that field equipment might be. If they are going to be out, if they have a vehicle, is that vehicle ready for them? And that could be oil changes, tire pressure. Has the vehicle been cleaned out? Don't hand an intern on day one a crappy vehicle and say,
filthy here.
Go drive around in this. That's not the image you want there. And then safety equipment for whatever they're doing. If they're going to be out of the office, we think that's a big one. Yeah. And make sure they have the proper safety equipment. That's the last thing we want is to send somebody out in the field and for something bad to happen.
Yeah, and of course, along with wearing the vests or the hats and different things and knowing how to work the lights on the work vehicle is teaching them, hey, don't move your feet until you've moved your head to totally take in the surroundings and make sure that you think that every driver is distracted on their texts and kids screaming in the back. Just the best practice, no matter who you're hiring in traffic engineering, but especially for an intern coming in as a 18, 19, 20-year-old.
Who may not have ever thought about these things before. And so to put that in the forefront of their mind of, yes, it may be basic and they may not appreciate it at the time, but driving this home is very important.
Then next step is going back to who is helping them get up to speed on the job and having them shadow the right people. And also throughout the time they're with you, think about that altruistic, how can you paint the picture of our industry and what we do to help broaden out beyond just they're setting up traffic counters, but move them around to some meetings and ITE lunches and things like that. Have them shadow so they can get a little bit bigger picture than just their day-to-day work.
And so this is one we really like to have, but you have their day-to-day tasks. Do you have some long-term project? And it can be more important for a co-op or something where they may be getting school credit for it as well. But even if they're only here for 3 months or however long that time might be, a long-term project is a great way for you to knock off something that's probably not at the top of your priority list, but something that they can accomplish and they can do over time. So ideally you want it to be multi-month. It can be fill-in work. If you have them out in the field and it's raining, well, now they have something to do to back that up. And it's an opportunity for them to learn more and to grow into whatever path they've chosen. So really think about what's a good long-term project. Obviously it needs to be down at their level. Don't give them something that you would have your second year full-time employee do. But it's an opportunity to, like I said, get something that's a lower priority item checked off and have them do. And they're going to like it because it's something different, and it gives them, again, more of that sense of being in and being part of the team.
And we like to incorporate a little research into these types of projects. So it's kind of an unanswered question that they're helping us answer and come up with something useful. Doesn't need to be earth shattering, but something that keeps them interested, engaged, and thinking and using Google and all that.
All right, so our next one is to be sure to schedule regular check-ins. So yes, you've done your first day, you've got your ideal week, you've done all this other stuff, but are you coming back and checking in with them? And this can be weekly or monthly. Doesn't need to be every day. It doesn't necessarily need to be every week, but some regular schedule that they know is coming up.
Yeah, and this is, again, try to put yourself back in the shoes of what it was like when you were an intern. By nature, most of us engineers are a little on the timid side, especially at the beginning of our careers. And it's going to be hard for them to have strong opinions and voice their opinions. So it's important for you to check in with them regularly and ask them the questions and open up that conversation.
And that's why, set the agenda for them. Don't expect them to come in with one, but if you have that regular agenda, they'll get in tune with it, and really just open up that opportunity for them to ask questions. And it can be on anything. Don't have it limited just to what they're working on. If they want to learn more about what you're doing, by all means, give them the opportunity to learn more so they know what they're getting into. All right.
And next up, this is an area that is an easy one to skip, this step in the process. But this is, we try to do a debrief on all of our projects, and we also like to do a debrief when folks are leaving. So you can understand what worked for them, what didn't work. As you're having your regular meetings, hopefully you're making adjustments throughout their internship, but kind of take 2 steps back and look at the big picture, and get their honest feedback on how we can make this better for the next person. And I think that's important to frame for them, is their feedback is a gift to the next intern, that they're helping make it even better for that next intern. So they don't just gloss over this.
And then what we also like to ask, depending on where they are, would they come back? And that's a great way for you. If they come back, you're set up for the next year, and less of that training is needed. They know the team, they know some of the expectations. So having them answer yes to that is a very good thing that you should be striving for.
And Bryant and I have this dream that we have not executed, but to get into a rotation of multiple interns where we have a senior intern and a junior intern. Kind of the second year intern can help train and manage the junior intern to save us even more time. But we haven't executed that yet, but if you're able to pull that off, we'd love to hear how that goes.
That'd be great. And then lastly, think about how did they do. Would you be willing to provide a recommendation letter? And this may be one they may be willing to ask, they may not, but if they did a great job for you, be proactive about it. Go ahead and give them that. And
of course, reach out to your network if you can't hire them full-time after they
absolutely.
graduate. If you're unable to do that, try to connect them with people if they did a great job for you.
All right, so reaching the end, we've got a few minutes left here. So this is just kind of our summary here. Make sure you understand your reasons for hiring. Why are you hiring an intern? And then go down into our top 10 here, the goal, the training, that first day, first week, the ideal work week, success roadmap, make sure you get their equipment ready, have a shadow day or two, make that part of the plan, the downtime or that longer term project that they can work on, regular check-ins, and then that end of job survey. So those are our 10 ways to make sure that you are maximizing what that intern can do for you.
Yep. And the next slide here is I'm sure some of you are asking, well, what do we have our interns doing? And we're not going to go through this list in detail, but these are some of the tasks we feel are appropriate for a traffic engineering intern. The list sways one way or the other if you're a public agency or a private consulting firm. But we like to provide a good mix of tasks for the intern. If they were just doing turning movement counts, they're going to get bored. Their work's going to degrade. So we really like to have that mix that really all of us want on the job.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right. So with that, we're down to our last few minutes. So we're going to take this just to once again say thanks to everyone. We really appreciate you showing up here. It's great to see the large number of participants we get. And we want to point out that at our SPAC Academy website, we do have a complete training package that is available. Contains a lot of PDFs, a lot of ways, training material, like it says.
Yep. Right now, it's all PDF documents. Part of the survey we asked, is there actually more of a demand for videos and things like that? We haven't put those together yet, but the complete package is a series of documents that would help you get an intern up to speed and a lot of materials for them to kind of self-study. And we've cut that price in half. We didn't do any gimmicky things. We just lowered the price on the site. So go check that out if you're interested.
And then the last thing before we turn to some of the questions for next month, we're going to do somewhat of an experiment. We're going to try this out, but it's Ask the Experts. So send us your questions. Send them to Mike specifically. We're going to keep track of them. We'll group them. We'll put them together, and we'll put together this webinar next month that is solely based on those questions that come in.
And please, if you don't have time to email me with your questions, feel free to come to next month's webinar and just type your question into the chat. I expect we'll get to a couple of on-the-fly questions as well. And also, we invite all of you to come and use the chat feature, because trying to not have huge egos, we're not the only experts. A lot of you out there are experts, and we value the discussions we have in the QAs. We just think this could be a fun way to kind of open up to everyone and see what's on everybody's minds and specific issues people are having. And it's an experiment. If it goes well, we could see this becoming part of the regular webinar rotation.
Exactly. All right, so with that, we're at 1 o'clock. We're at the end of our official time, so thanks everyone for coming. But we will hang on. We will answer any of the questions that come in for however long that takes. If you do have to go, you can check back later. We do post these videos, so you can go through the Q&A at the end.
Yep,
So,
and a little teaser here. This quarter, we will be launching a new portal of Mike on Traffic that has all of the videos. But for free, we'll also have a little quiz part, and so you can get a little CEU certificate for your continuing ed. So we've heard many of you would like that, and we're building out the system to make that happen.
all right.
So this one comes from Rachel Bolton. Starts with a comment and moves into a question. She's a proud practicing advisor for a local university chapter of the ASCE.
Okay.
They said it's a great way to connect with students and interns. As far as they know, all local ASCE chapters are required to have a practicing advisor who acts as a liaison. Her question is, what advice do you give to agencies whose internship programs do not allow interns to drive an agency vehicle?
Well, you need to tailor the work around what they can do. I guess I haven't personally run into that here with my internships. So it's just figuring out what level of work they can do. And also, if they can provide benefit as a second set of hands to one of your full-time staff or public works staff, especially if you can rotate around whoever's
That's what I would look at, yeah.
doing your data collection or who's doing street audits or other ways. Can they ride along with somebody, provide some benefit to that person, but also learn as they're shadowing?
Okay. Esther has a question. Have you had much success utilizing college freshmen or younger interns?
No.
No. Most of ours have been junior or senior level. I guess I wouldn't shy away from it if it's the right candidate, but the ones we've had apply, generally they've been past those first 2 years. They're starting to get into more of the curriculum for what they're going to. They understand that they want to do transportation. They're interested in this. So that's typically where our applicants have come from.
But we do have friends at other consulting firms that do hire younger interns, and usually they're put on a survey crew as the most menial hold the survey rod type work when they're younger. And then they grow up into doing more of the engineering work as their curriculum progresses.
And finally, Shelby wanted to know the name of the Moments book you recommended.
I believe it's called The Power of Moments, and it's by Dan and Chip Heath, the Heath brothers. I've loved every book they've written, so look for that. It's their latest book. I call it the Peak Moments book because that's really what it's about, but I believe the title's The Power of Moments. It has a blue cover. I don't have it in front of me, so but search Amazon for Dan and Chip Heath and they'll come up.
There you go.
Okay, thanks everyone.
All right, thanks everyone.
Have a great
We appreciate
January.
it.
We'll see you back in February.
All right.